Hello, good evening, and welcome back to the same old Arsenal Extra Time with your host, Harry Simew. This evening, I am joined by the brilliant Melvin Marks. Welcome, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Better than I was, say, 30 minutes ago.
Tell me about it. It wasn't easy, was it? They never make it easy for us, this team.
No, not at all.
Definitely. Right, so it ended up CSKA Moscow 2, Arsenal 2. And I want to start off by going through my player ratings, and then I just want to get Melvin's opinions on those as well. And obviously, guys, feel free to contribute in the live chat feature underneath this video. So I'm going to start off with Petr Cech, who I gave a 5 out of 10. I think he cost us the second goal. I think he made a good save, though, from the Golovin free kick. So that's what's redeemed a little bit of that. Would you agree with that, Melvin? Or
5, probably 6, actually.
6?
So, yeah.
You're obviously a lot more generous than I am.
At the moment, we'll see how we go along, though.
That's it. Hector Bellerin, I gave him a 6. Thought it was an average performance from him. Nothing special, nothing disastrous.
Well, he's consistent, isn't he? I'll give him 5 because he's played loads of the time.
Consistently no good. Mustafi and Koscielny, I've given them both 5s because I thought they were both sloppy throughout, particularly in the first half. Where would you stand on that?
Disagree slightly. I'll probably give Koscielny just a little bit more, 5 and 6.
Okay, interesting. Monreal, I gave him a 5 because I thought in the first half he was piss poor, to be honest.
It didn't look like he was fit.
Yeah, no, he looked terrible. I thought he looked terrible. I think one of the worst games I've seen him play in an Arsenal shirt.
I'll agree with you, 5 there.
Yep. El Neni, I gave him an 8, 9 even. Sublime passes twice. He outshone Mesut Ozil tonight.
Yeah, I thought, I thought it was close, those two. I thought Mesut Ozil played quite well. I'll give him an 8.
Yeah, you're giving him an 8. Okay. Aaron Ramsey, I was going to give him a 6 because I thought he was terrific in terms of his physicality, but I thought that final ball was lacking. But then he did score the equaliser, so he's lifted himself up to a 7 for me.
Yeah, probably that. I agree with that. 7, yeah.
Yeah. Jack Wilshere, 3 out of 10. Awful.
That's probably he's not been playing. The last few games he's been not so good. I'll probably 4. Go on, give him a 4. Go on, he tries. It wasn't happening, but he tried.
Yeah, I just thought he was terrible tonight. And
he needs a rest, doesn't he? He needs a rest.
He does. And people will point to the knock that he picked up in the first half, but I don't think that's a good enough excuse for me. I think Jack Wilshere was poor from minute 1.
Poor choices as well.
That's right. That's right. Danny Welbeck, I'm going to give him an 8 because he scored the vital goal and he started that move off. And with Danny Welbeck, one thing you can never have accused him of is hiding in a game. He might not be the most technically gifted footballer, but he's always involved. He's always in the thick of things. And tonight he proved to be, a match winner for us.
I agree. I'll give him. I know you don't do it this way. I give him 2 for the first half and 6 for the second half.
It still comes to 8, I guess.
Exactly.
Ozil, I gave him a 6. I think there were glimpses of quality, a few touches that showed how great he can be. But he infuriated me particularly when that ball dropped to Ignashevich and he just sort of bottled out of it. And that could have easily been 3-0 and good night for Arsenal. So I gave him a 6 for that reason. What about yourself?
No, I agree with that, but with what you said about when he bottled it. But I'm going to give him a 7 because I think he actually did. Some of the touches were fantastic. But in a game like this, I'd rather he get stuck in a bit more. I agree. I'll give him 7. I'm being generous, I think, but I'll give him a 7.
You're definitely more generous than me. Lacazette, I gave him a 5 tonight. I just thought he wasn't involved, to be honest.
Yeah, totally agree. Anonymous. He had one chance where he could have probably hit it first time in the first half when it come across from Welbeck. Yeah, he had to take a touch, and that's to do with confidence, I think.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, it's down to confidence because he could have easily as well sort of cut the ball inside and had a go with his left foot maybe. Yeah. Just a little bit of sort of confidence was lacking there. But as well, there was a couple of times where he seemed to interchange positions with Welbeck and he'd pull out on the left. And for me, that doesn't suit Lacazette at all. Aubameyang can do that. Thierry Henry used to do it for years. But for me, Alexander Lacazette is not capable of doing that. So I think, again, the system is not quite complementing him at the moment. Would you agree with that?
Definitely. No, definitely. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give you a score.
Pardon?
I agree with what you said, the score as well.
Yeah, lovely. Right, let's talk about the first goal because cross came in. Nacho Monreal seemed to be eased off the ball. It was a good save from Cech, you have to say. But for me, Mustafi was asleep. Am I being overly critical? Was it just one of those things? It just fell to the player?
I think you're not critical enough. I think that the goalkeeper, though it was a good save, I think he could have done a little bit more with it once he's made the good save. He didn't think ahead. He just pushed it straight out. And I think he turned it around the post or something. I don't say he should have actually got two hands to it. One hand, he can only get one hand to it. But once he got one hand to it, he should have thought ahead and perhaps, in hindsight, put it around the post. Mustafi, you can't expect him to get to the ball on the basis that he can't read the game. He's not aware of anyone around him. So if there's something's in front of him, he's fine. He's got no radar, and that's worrying for a defender.
Yeah, no, that's fair. The second goal, I completely attribute that one to Petr Cech. I think, he's got a lot of time to see that. It's not a particularly powerful shot. He looks to me like he's mistimed his dive a little bit, and that's why he's not been able to sort of make the contact he wanted with the ball. And you'd think for a goalkeeper of that experience, pushing it out wide there is the basic. And he just doesn't do that.
Could he have got his body behind the ball?
Possibly.
I think that's really, if he got his body behind the ball, would be no problem at all.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Because it did look to me like he sort of, and that's why I say he mistimed the dive, because it seemed as though he kind of didn't need to go. Then he went, maybe shouldn't have gone, and he got stuck in a bit of a no man's land there, and that. But how did you feel at 2-0? Because I was absolutely shitting myself, if I'm being honest.
It was a bit surreal, really. It's like we've been here before, but I still don't believe it. A bit like that.
Do you know what? I must admit, I received a couple of texts when we were 2-0 down from people saying, you know what, I hope we go out because it's the only way we're going to get rid of Arsene Wenger. I've not spoken to you before, Melvin, so I know, look, 99% of us wanted us to win tonight. Of course we did. And we want to win the Europa League. That's what Arsenal fans do. But there are some people out there, believe it or not, that would rather we didn't, and that it signalled the end for Arsenal. What's your stance on that?
I don't want Arsenal to lose to get rid of Wenger. And you know why? Truthfully, because it won't make any difference. If we would have lost tonight, it would have made no difference at all. I hate to be in the position to think, well, if we did lose tonight, we'd get rid of him. I really would like him to go, but not at the expense of getting knocked out of the quarterfinal of a cup.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
A couple of league games. We don't need to win any league games now. The league's over. If it meant losing 3 games on the trot, which I don't like us to lose any games, but if it meant 3 league games and he's gone, then I might take that option.
Yeah. Fair enough. We spoke about the player ratings. We went through that right at the top of the show. We both agreed that Jack Wilshere had a poor game. And in terms of his bargaining position now, where he's trying to get sort of the contract that he wants, he hasn't done himself any favours tonight, has he? He looked poor. For me, he looked slow. He looks immobile. Like you said, I think he holds on to the ball too long at really bad times. What did you make of his performance, and do you think that he's going to end up signing an Arsenal contract?
I don't think he will, no. I think going back a couple of years, we'd never think we'd be in this position with Jack Wilshere. He was this is our shining light. And I think it's gone too far now. I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think Wenger fancies him. Mm-hmm. And I really don't think that Wilshere fancies the club now. He probably loves the club as the club, but as the team, I think he probably thinks he can do better elsewhere in a team, not necessarily the club. It's still Arsenal. But I think as a pure football decision, I think he could probably do better away.
Yeah, see, this is the thing I have with quite a lot of people, and I get a lot of stick for this because I'm not Jack Wilshere's biggest fan. I don't think that's a secret. I think that he is overrated. And I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that he is British and that he's homegrown and so on and so forth. And I think that is one of the problems at the moment, because if I was the club, I'd still have question marks over sort of how fit this guy is, because even when he is medically fit, he doesn't look fit enough to contribute to a game, in my opinion. And so, I can see why the club is stalling. I can see why they don't want to spend top dollar on him. And I just find it astounding that, you know, some people can't see the club side of this debate. I don't know what you think.
I've got a different idea to you on that, actually. My idea is you either fancy him as a club or you don't fancy him. The money shouldn't come into it. If we're going to afford to give Mustafi, for example, not Mustafi, Mertesacker, 120 grand a week, 6 million a year, and we know he's not going to play, then you can give half of that to Jack if you fancy him. And I don't think the club does fancy him, and that's why I don't think the offer's there, a big one.
Yeah, that's fair. But would you agree that it's probably because of sort of fitness concerns?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I like Jack. I mean, a fit Jack, but a big if by that, a fit Jack will be, I think it's terrific. I'll have him in the midfield in front of a lot of players that we've got at the moment, because he actually goes forward with the ball. It's a bit strange, I know. But...
It's a bit strange for Arsenal, isn't it?
It is at the moment, yeah.
Lovely. Right. Well, let's talk about the Danny Welbeck goal, because ultimately that is the goal that got us out of trouble. And we were in a bit of a hole up until then. We were starting to get a little bit sort of nervy. Danny Welbeck, fine piece of play out on the left wing. And then he ends up through on goal thanks to a fabulous pass from El Neni. I mean, what a pass. I had to blink to check that it was El Neni. But Welbeck took it well, didn't he?
I thought it was a great move. I thought actually I switched over to telly by mistake and watching a different game for that minute, because it was so out of ordinary for the game. It was the game was so different than the way we were playing. We couldn't put two passes together, and all of a sudden, a beautiful move like that, through ball from El Neni, and a fabulous finish by Welbeck. That was brilliant, absolutely. It wasn't really anything to do with how we were playing. We were playing so poorly. It's like, where did that come from? Don't mind that at all, but don't know where it came from. Brilliant.
That's right. That's right. We've got a few comments coming in on the chat. Satish says, we won, right? Yes, we did win. And you know, we're not being overly critical, I don't think, but we're just calling it as we see it. And I think as fans, we're entitled to do that. Selzy Ball says, evening, guys. I would have given Bellerin a -1. To be honest, that I haven't stooped to the level where I'm going into minuses yet, because, you know, but I'm sure that will come at some point through doing this show. Jack Zier says Wilshere was awful. Sad face. Can't disagree with him there. Ant says El Neni was superb. He was questioned for signing a new contract. Someone's called Vic Starr says they'll donate us £200. Cheers. I'd like to see if they're actually going to follow through with it, though. DJ Fury says, Harry, I agree with your ratings. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it. Now, we saw Aaron Ramsey get on the score sheet again, right at the death, and restore a little bit of pride on the night, because we managed to salvage a draw at least. Now, Aaron Ramsey, you know, he divides opinion as well, because there's a lot of people that say that he's injured too often, and you know, I have to agree with that as well. The only difference being that maybe an Aaron Ramsey injury would be 2-3 weeks out, whereas the Jack Wilshere one seems to be 2-3 months out. But what do you make of Aaron Ramsey, because his contract is coming to its final year as well, isn't it?
I'm not a great fan of Ramsey. I know it sounds stupid. He's scored some great goals recently. I'm not a fan. I think he's one of those players that when it's going well, unbelievable. But so many times you're looking around at players and he's not the one to have in your team when things aren't going well. I know he nicks the odd goal, fantastic. But when we're playing poorly, he's normally the centre of it. He gives the ball away too much. He's very stylish. I think he overdoes it on that bit, really. There are other players that I prefer in midfield in front of him. I'm sorry. Not one of my favourite players.
Would you not agree, though, that he gives a real engine to our midfield, because he is one of the few players that's capable of getting up and down the pitch for 90 minutes?
Yeah. On certain times he does up and down. He's great, and he's got a finish. He can finish. At times he goes through these periods of scoring lots of goals, and very good ones as well, and important ones. But there are so many times you're sitting there going, "What is he? Why is he playing again? He's not playing. He's not in form. He should be left out of the team, and he's not." And you can say that about a couple of players, actually. I mean, even Jack at the moment. I like Jack, but he should be given a rest. He's not doing it. What's he going to wait for till he gets injured? Because he will get injured if he's playing like he is, because he's a slightly slower Jack. He doesn't look as fit as he should be. Give him a rest.
Yeah, totally agree. Would you say that we missed Granit Xhaka this evening?
No.
No, I would say we did. I would say we did.
Well, perhaps we did. Perhaps he could have defended a bit, but you know, I'm not. I'm not his greatest fan. In fact, if there's anyone that I would like to see changed in our lineup, it would be him. I just can't see what he brings to the team. He's all right giving the ball out left with his left foot, a 20-yarder or a 30-yarder. But defensively, I think he's poor. Again, I don't think he's got radar around him. He doesn't know, can't spot danger. And I'd have a fit Wilshere against him any day of the week.
Really?
And play Wilshere deeper any day of the week.
I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with that. And the reason I say that is because there's been a few times this season, a couple of times where we've not had Xhaka in the side. And I think what Xhaka gives you in the middle of the park, because a lot of people say that he doesn't give anything to the team. I think Granit Xhaka gives you presence. I think Granit Xhaka is one of the few players that holds his position. Yes, he gets forward sometimes and he's, in deep water, but that happens with all the Arsenal players. And that's because our system is not as rigid as perhaps some other teams. I think when you are the deep line midfield player in this Arsenal team, you are going to be exposed, whoever you are, just because of the way we play. I think Mikel Arteta was a victim of that in the past, made to look a far worse player than he actually was. And he adds a bit of steel in there, I just think that I get it. Jack Wilshere may be in a deeper position, but I fear that he's not physically up to it. I fear that he would get bullied. That's my only thing. So you know what? I don't think Xhaka is as bad as people say. I don't think he's great either. I think he's got a lot to learn. He's got a long way to go, and we'll just have to see what happens.
I mean, he's had a couple of seasons now. He's got to start producing now, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Craig Marks on the chat says, would you say Ozil is our player of the season?
Just about. I think I would actually, yeah. I think I probably would.
I think I would too. And that, you know what? I think I was skeptical of him staying. So for him to stay, sign on the dotted line, albeit for a ridiculous amount of money, then it's a good sign, and I'm happy to have him. And his performances have picked up since, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. Oh yeah, the performances have picked up, and with the new guy we've signed up front, I mean that will only he'll obviously those two do very well together. So he needs people running off the ball, Ozil. If people are static and we're giving it left, right, he's going to look very average. But if he's got the team moving forward, he's got runners off him, he can pick out a pass from anywhere. Yeah,
agree with that. I think Arsene Wenger deserves some credit this evening. He gets a lot of stick from people, and rightly so most of the time. But I think where I'd give him a bit of credit tonight was that when he brought Chambers on, switched to a back three, I think he steadied the ship a little bit. I think the fact that Bellerin was able to go further wide, push higher up the pitch, same with Monreal, it meant that the CSKA players weren't coming so much down those flanks, and that was a real problem area for us in the first half. So I think Arsene Wenger deserves some credit there. Would you agree with that? Or oh, the connection's frozen. No worries at all. No worries at all. Looks like I'm on my own for a second. So let's have a quick look at our potential opponents in the next round, because, there were some excellent ties, some excellent European football this week. And we have to say that, anything could have happened. We never thought that any of those ties were going to be as exciting as they were. So our potential opponents are Atletico Madrid, Olympique Marseille, and Red Bull Salzburg. If you guys can tell me in the chat below who you'd prefer to get, and we can get around those while we wait for Melvin's connection to come back. Let's have a look. I would personally say that obviously we want to avoid Atletico for as long as possible. There's no doubt about that. But none of those are going to be easy ties. You've got Marseille in there, who turned around the game this evening. The Stade Velodrome is a very, very difficult place to go. Salzburg are a surprise package, in my opinion, because I felt as though I thought they'd be done by Lazio. I watch a lot of Serie A football, as you probably know, and I thought that you know, Lazio would cruise through that, and they couldn't. They weren't able to. They just completely capitulated. And it goes to show, you know, you can't take this tournament for granted. You don't know too much about these teams, and that's something I said earlier on in the season. It's not like the Champions League where we know all sorts about every team. We seem to have a whole number of teams in this tournament from various different countries, and most of them are unknown quantities. So you never quite know what you're in for. In this, Guna Gurus says on the chat he prefers Salzburg. You know what? I would have said that as well until they knocked out Lazio, and now I'm a bit skeptical, because I think if you've knocked out Lazio, you've got to be a decent side. I think we were unfortunate tonight, because it looked as though Sporting Lisbon might have come back against Atletico this evening, but unfortunately that wasn't to be. Right, so let us know in the chat who it is that you want to see us come up against in the semi-finals. And that brings us to the end of another Same Old Arsenal Extra Time. Thank you for watching, guys. And until next time, ciao.